All right, let's dive right into this explainer. If you've been staring at financial statements and activity ratios for your upcoming finance exam and feeling, a little overwhelmed, you are in the exact right place. We're going to take the days, purchases, and accounts payable ratio, break the whole thing down, and make it completely accessible and totally exam ready. Here's our quick roadmap. First, understanding days purchases. Second, the formula made simple. Third, interpreting rising and falling numbers. And finally, avoiding common exam traps. Let's get to it.
Starting with Section 1, Understanding Days Purchases.
So, put simply, this is a measure of how quickly a company pays the vendors who supply its inventory. It's the average number of days it takes to actually settle a payable. Think about it from the business's perspective, right? You buy goods on credit, an invoice lands on your desk, and boom, the clock starts ticking. This metric tells us, on average, how many days that clock ticks before you finally write the check and hand over your cash. It's a fundamental indicator of exactly how a business manages its cash outflow to suppliers.
Moving right along to Section 2, the formula made simple.
The math here is actually surprisingly straightforward. You literally just take the number of days in the period, which, is usually 365 for a full year, and divide it by the accounts payable turnover. And remember, that turnover is just how many times a year the company pays off its average payable balance. So by dividing the days in the year by that turnover rate, you get the actual tangible number of days an invoice is just sitting around unpaid. Let's look at a quick scenario comparing a company's current, kind of sluggish turnover with its prior year. Notice how in the prior year, the turnover was 16.9 times. But in the current year, that turnover dropped to 13.2 times. Because the company is carrying a much higher balance in payables, it's just turning over less often. But what does that actually mean in real days? Let's do the math. Okay, so doing the math for the current year, 365 days divided by that 13.2 turnover rate gives us exactly 27.7 days. That is up significantly from the 21.6 days they had the year before. So in just one single year, this company went from taking about 3 weeks to pay its bills to taking almost a full month. Which brings us to Section 3, Interpreting Rising and Falling Numbers. Let's think about this mini scenario for a second. Imagine a company's payable balance basically doubles, and as a result, their payment period stretches out to that 27.7 days we just calculated. Your instinct might be to panic, right? I mean, is paying suppliers slower automatically a bad thing? Are they going bankrupt? Well, the answer is a resounding it depends. Seriously? A rising number like this can tell two completely different stories depending on the facts on the ground. On one hand, it could be a total genius cash management strategy. By holding onto their cash longer, the firm can use it for other operations or investments. That's a huge win. But on the other hand, it might be a massive red flag. A delayed payment period could just mean the firm is seriously struggling with its cash flow and literally cannot afford to pay. Plus, by delaying payment, they might be missing out on some really lucrative early payment discounts offered by their vendors. Which leads us directly to an absolute golden rule for your exam. To actually figure out whether the firm is paying on time, too early, or way too slowly, you absolutely must compare this 27.7-day result with the specific credit terms offered by their suppliers. If the supplier's terms are, say, net 30 days, then paying in 27.7 days is perfectly fine. They're right on schedule. But if the terms are net 15, then 27.7 days means they are severely late and potentially damaging those vendor relationships. Context is quite literally everything here. But hey, what about the flip side? What if the number is actually falling, like the company's 21.6 days in the prior year? Again, it's kind of a double-edged sword. A lower number obviously implies the firm is taking less time to pay off suppliers, and this could be fantastic news if they're aggressively capturing those early payment discounts. However, it might also mean they're simply paying their invoices way too quickly, giving up their cash earlier than necessary, and essentially managing their cash really inefficiently. All right, moving into the final stretch, Section 4, Avoiding Common Exam Traps. Okay, a massive exam trap is confusing this ratio with the receivables collection period. You've got to ruthlessly associate accounts payable with purchases and suppliers. Do not ever mix this up with accounts receivable, which relates strictly to sales and customers. If a multiple choice question starts blabbering about customer sales when it's asking about days purchases, cross it out immediately. It's a trap. Another huge trick is forgetting how this specific ratio fits into the broader picture of the firm's overall cash cycle. This is kind of counterintuitive, so listen closely. Delaying vendor payments, which means a higher days purchases number, actually shrinks your cash cycle. Sounds weird, right? But think about it. The cash cycle is the portion of time when your cash is tied up. If you hold on to your cash for a longer portion of the operating cycle before handing it over to suppliers, your actual cash cycle gets shorter. You subtract days purchases from the operating cycle.
Let's see how this builds within the whole framework. So the operating cycle handles the asset side of things. Let's say it totals 41.5 days, combining days sales outstanding and receivables at 23.9 days and days sales and inventory at 17.6 days. That is how long it takes to buy inventory, sell it, and collect the cash. But here is where our accounts payable metric sweeps in to save the day. Your payable days actually offset that total. If you don't have to pay your suppliers for 27.7 days, you just subtract that from the 41.5, meaning your actual cash is only tied up for the remaining 13.8 days. And that, my friends, is your cash cycle. So keep this golden rule locked in your mind for exam day. You cannot analyze this ratio in a vacuum. Always check those credit terms first. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a quick thought to ponder. If you suddenly saw companies' days purchases jump from 30 days to 90 days in a single year without a single change in supplier terms, how would that sudden shift alter your entire assessment of that firm's financial survival? Think about it. Keep reviewing these concepts, and you're absolutely going to crush this topic.